Now, Nigeria has one of the world's highest numbers of out-of-school children, 13.2 million, according to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. The recent spate of abductions is having a huge impact on education in Nigeria and is a threat to efforts aimed at reducing the rate of out-of-school children in Nigeria, especially the girl child. Already, some parents have withdrawn their children from school or have not sent their children back to school, and the insecurity and threats to educational facilities is worsening on already difficult situation. How can Nigeria ensure the safety of schools and improve the education of children, especially that of the girl child? That is what we'll be talking about right now. So joining me on Skype from Jos is Dr. Gloria Pudu, girl child advocate and president, Leah Sharibu Foundation. Dr. Pudu, it's nice to have you join me this morning.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be with you too.
All right. Now, I recall that when the Bring Back Our Girls campaign started out shortly after the abduction or kidnap of Chibok girls, there was a rise in the cases and the spotlight and beaming the spotlight on the girl child education and how we should improve on all of those. The pressure was on government at that time, and then we had the Dapchi abduction, and then Leah Sharibu, and then continually. But in recent times, we've had several abductions involving girl child, not just even the girl child. We're talking about children now, although the girl child is focal to a great extent. Now, how troubling are the trends for you from what your analysis of the situation is?
You know, it's very troubling because just like you said, we want to focus on the girl child because you know, when you educate a girl, you are educating an entire nation, because this girl will grow up to be a woman, and a woman who will have children, and who, whether it is a boy or a girl she will ensure that they all go to school. So it's very troubling, especially for the girl child, because we know that if we look at our population, out of the number that you just mentioned, about 13 point something million that are out of school, you will discover that the number of girls are higher in that population, and most especially in northern Nigeria. When you look at, especially now in the northwest, where these abductions are frequent from schools, very discouraging and demotivating to a region where it even has a very low girl child enrollment statistics. Then you are worsening the situation with all these abductions from the northeast, now northwest, and you know, it's really a very sad situation for parents and for us that are advocating for girls to, you know, go to school. So for me to paint it, it is really a very sad one. There is no parent that will, you know, want to prefer to choose between either sending their child to school or just letting them be at home, especially the girl child, that we are encouraging that they can contribute to the nation building.
All right. Now, the government came up with different policies to try to encourage enrollment in children. Now, the primary education, and even some states decided to make education at that level free so that they can encourage, you know, young, or encourage parents to enroll their children in school. There was also the school feeding program, which was meant to encourage more people or more enrollment into schools. But this recent abduction, how is it going to impact on how willing parents will be to send their children to school?
It's going to impact very negatively, most especially to Northerners who, those of us who are pleading with them to allow their children go to school because of the cultural and the religious perspective that they have. You know, now that the girls are going to school and their girls are being taken. So it's going to be a very demoralizing, you know, it will have a demoralizing effect on parents. You can see what happened in Jangebe. Parents went to get their girls. In fact, there was chaos. You saw how they had to just take their girls away. Most of those parents, it will be difficult for them to allow those girls go back to school. We had that issue with the Dapchi girls. Girls refused to go back to school. So for us, we had to plead with them and say we are taking them out and taking them to some safer environment that we call safer to allow them to go to school. But it's going to have a very, very demoralizing effect on the parents, and it will be difficult. So instead of moving steps ahead, we are moving steps backward. In fact, we are racing back, not even just moving steps, we are racing backward. And it's really very sad. So it is just unfortunate that the government, since 2014, when Chibok girls were taken, instead of us to really secure our schools and encourage parents with all the initiatives that they are bringing and make sure that they are properly implemented, it is just very sad that it is not working. And so we are going to move backward.
All right. You rightly said earlier that the percentage, when we're talking about the out-of-school children, the 13.2 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, that is very troubling. The girl child makes the very large, or the larger chunk of that number. But as a way of enlightenment, make us understand, why is it so or more critical for the girl child?
Why it is more critical, like I mentioned earlier when I started, is that, the girl child is very important to a nation. She's the mother of a nation. She's the one that will nurture children that will come, because she's going to grow up to be a woman, and she become a mother that will nurture the boy child, the girl child, and whoever. So, they are very important that we give them the very basic education that they need. And once she has that education, she's empowered, she would definitely ensure that her own children that she has given birth to are also empowered. There is no educated mother that will want to throw her child on the street. If you look at the Almajiri, most of them are not coming from educated mothers, because the educated mothers who have their children, they have their girl children in school. They have some of them even out of the country, those that are in leadership position or are wealthy, because they know they have to keep away that cultural, that religious aspect that stops girl from being educated, So it is very important that we educate the girl child. Look at the case of the Leah Sharibu. 3 years now in captivity. This poor child is still in captivity. She will have graduated by now and looking forward to become a health worker, battling with COVID and all these things, but she has been prevented from. So this is the problem that we have when we don't educate children. We miss out a lot, and national development also misses out a lot,
All right, talking about culture and religion, how does this help or compound the situation right now? Because looking at our people, we are very cultural on one hand and also very religious on the other. So we're very bonded with this phenomenon, this social phenomenon in our lives. But how are these helping us to improve or compounding the situation from moving forward?
I think the religious leaders need to be sincere and educate our children properly. I see some hypocrisy in cultural and religious affiliations sometimes, because you will discover that in cultures where they are discouraging, like children going to school, you have the elites in those societies who know the religion and know the culture very well, sending their own children to school. So it is hypocritical when we allow the poorest of the poor to just leave their children so that we can use them for touts and use them for almajiri, use them for, activities that are not, maybe they are the ones in banditry and kidnapping and all these kind of vices that we have, while we allow our own children to, go to school and be. So there is hypocrisy in how we, educate and accept our cultures and even our religion. So religious leaders should encourage their followers, their faith believers, to ensure that they teach them what is right, what is acceptable. If you look at Western nations, you will see that they encourage. If you look at Saudi Arabia, they are encouraging so much. So I think it will be good if we are sincere and then give our, faith followers the truth about the civility and education of girl child, allowing women to be empowered and to participate in societies and all that. So when we are sincere with that, I think that would be very helpful. And I also want to encourage our leaders who are in politics to also ensure that they give the enlightenment, the campaigns, and they support faith leaders to be able to preach messages that will encourage rather than, be forceful and allow others to, suffer.
All right. Now, let's talk about the issue of safety in schools, or safety of schools. There's a thin line between the issue of creating safety in schools and having soldiers or security agencies with guns around schools, where children can grow up becoming scared of a situation where it looks like they're schooling in a war zone and all of that. What do you think we should how do you think we should handle that situation, where, especially in the northwestern area, where there is regular abduction of students and school children?
First of all, having security agents in the schools to secure the schools now is a short-term effort, because the country is not very safe. And so it's not going to be a long time effort, because we want to immediately ensure that we secure and keep our communities, our schools, our environment. So definitely we will see the army, police, all the security personnel all over our environment. But for the long time, it will be a political and economic effort. Political in the sense that let us have our leaders sincerely, implementing the mandates of what they have been given, ensuring that structurally, psychologically, mentally, students have a safe place where they can have their education. When I mean a safe place, not just their school, the environment entirely, their communities should be very safe. So community policing should be encouraged, where people already know that they can take care of their communities and prevent, all these insecurities from happening, so that those environments are safe. And this is a political effort that the government or our leaders needs to do to ensure that they empower communities to keep them safe. And then when we come economically, empower, the communities with resources that they don't even have to depend wholly on, the government for maybe funding of how they can secure themselves and everything. If we give them all the necessary things that they need, they will be able to empower themselves. So when we look at the long and the short time, we know for the short time, all these securities are there. It gives a negative impact, but we need them now, because we need to secure the country. And if we are sincere in ensuring that we keep our environment safe, then all these issues will not even arise, where the psychology of the child will be moved. But when we have a safe environment, then we have children all going to school, we have our communities safe and all that.
Okay. Now, can you share with us some of the things you're doing, especially under your foundation, the Leah Sharibu Foundation, when it comes to encouraging the girl child to be in school and issues like that? Can you share with us some of the things you're doing to contribute?
Thank you. First of all, what we do as a faith-based foundation is that we just employ everyone to pray, especially for Leah Sharibu, for her release, and not just Leah, because we know when we mention Leah, she represents everybody in captivity, and so every girl child in captivity, we do that. And then we also petition government by advocating and asking that governments all over the world and locally should pressure our government to ensure that they keep our schools safe, keep our environment safe, so that girl child will be able to be empowered and given that education, which is a fundamental human right. So another thing that we do as a foundation is to see that we go to communities like the Dapchi communities and get girls who are willing to continue school and their parents are willing to allow them to go to school, because we cannot force them, to move them to safer environments where we ensure that their fees are paid, we ensure that they receive, the education that they need. And then also for women empowerment programs, we have women in brothels, prisons, and vulnerable women being helped by being empowered with skill acquisition trainings, and also discipleship and all that, because we are a faith-based organization. So these are some of the things that we do. But for the girl child, we encourage and ensure that we enlighten communities. We encourage parents not to give up, not to be demotivated, but to ensure that they still allow their girls to go to school. Because when they allow these girls to go to school, they are empowered for life, and the poverty level will go down, and national development will be high.
All right. Most of the times when we talk about education and issues like this, there's a lot of emphasis on the federal government. But we know that the education is under the concurrent list, where state governments that are even closer to the people have great roles to play when it comes to practicalizing some of the things you've raised. Local governments also have their roles to play. How should we be looking at how all of these levels of government can be acting to ensure that it takes us to where we desire to get to?
That's why for us, like organizations like NGOs, faith-based organizations, civil societies come into support, because we don't want to leave the entire burden to the government. We want to ensure that, okay, the government provide the very basic needs, provide the enabling environment, and let community people make efforts. We know we have private schools, we know we have community schools, we know we have faith-based schools, we know we have civil society encouraging, empowering NGOs, reaching out and supporting. These are all efforts that we can do together. And then for the government, local, state, and federal level, they should be able to provide the policies, provide an enabling environment, the basic structural needs that are very intensive because of how poor we are, that our communities are. And so they will need all those basic structures to be in place so that they can tap into it and, move on and ensure that we give our children the very best. So all hands will have to be on deck, and we have to reach out and also support. And that is what we are doing.
All right. Dr. Gloria Poudre, Girlchild advocate and president, Leah Sharibu Foundation, thank you very much for talking to us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much for having me. But one last word that I will have to plead is to plead with the federal government. We commend them for the fact that they have been able to get the girls from Zamfara back home, and the Kagara boys and all the other boys that were taken and others. We appreciate that. But we are pleading with them, this strategy that they are using now, they should please ensure that they secure the release of Leah Sharibu. Since we have good negotiators that are able to get the release of our girls now, please, they should use the same thing. That is what the parents are pleading. And I just want to use this opportunity to plead on behalf of Leah Sharibu and the other Chibok girls who are still in captivity. Let us not allow this strategy to just move away. But please, the federal government should use them and secure the release of these ones. Leah has been 3 years in captivity on the 19th of February.
Absolutely.
Chibok girls, almost 7 years. Thank you so much.
Absolutely spot on. Thank you so much for that. And I guess those who are concerned are watching and they will listen.